Hello, welcome to my channel. I am doing a book review of Jill Duggar Dillard's book, Counting the Cost. I have several different videos before this, if you're new to this channel, just discussing the book and dissecting it. I grew up in a fundamentalist church and I have some insight to some of the things she experienced, though I didn't experience anything nearly as bad as Jill did. My family was not quite as strict or fundamentalist. So Jill talks about wanting to wear pants or getting into wearing pants, and that she didn't think they were sinful, but she didn't want to get her parents kind of riled up, and she knew it would be a big deal in the press if she started wearing them, if she was seen wearing them. So if you don't know, if you didn't watch their show, 19 Kids and Counting, it was called like 17 Kids and Counting at one point as they kept having more and more kids. And then Counting On was the spin-off that she and her sisters did and a few of their brothers. And the parents don't believe in women wearing pants. They don't really say why, but it's because some of the more legalistic Christians believe that women wearing pants is cross-dressing. There's a Bible verse that talks about it, so that's why. That's why a lot of fundamentalist Christians are seen wearing super long skirts and dresses. Her sister Ginger decided to wear pants before her, and it made tabloid headlines, of course, because it was basically seen as an act of rebellion. Her sister started wearing them after she got married, and she was living in Texas and LA with her new husband. And Jill said that when Ginger started wearing pants that she thought there'd be fallout, there'd be scolding in the family and shaming in the family group messages, but there was none. Oh, she said she was removed from a bunch of family text message groups. That's nice. And then she said, I wondered how long it would take Pops to call her out or cut and paste that verse from Deuteronomy. That's a big thing. Like people putting that on your Facebook wall and everything. I've had that happen. One day I called Ginger. She told me she'd face some backlash behind closed doors, but encouraged me to make a good decision, not based out of fear of what others would think. What a good sister. Ginger's decision to think for herself while staying true to the Bible was inspiring. She talks about how Jill talks about how she was afraid to even try alcohol, and that IBLP had taught that it was a sin to drink alcohol. She said after a long conversation with Derek, her husband, and setting some clear, healthy boundaries ahead of time for ourselves, I was nervously excited when Derek brought back a bottle of wine to accompany our in-home date night one evening. But I didn't like it. It made my mouth feel like it had just been disinfected. I was kind of disappointed. Yeah, I don't know what wine that is, but it might be like one of those very sugary wines, I'm guessing. But yeah, I've heard of that from people who have tried alcohol once and they're like, this is disgusting. Like beer. I mean, there's a lot of beer that just tastes like horse piss. So if you try it, you're like, oh, I could live without this. Jill goes on to say that they went with Derek's family to Silver Dollar City, which is in Branson, Missouri. Branson's a huge, my Jeep group goes there sometimes, but it's a huge, basically like theme park area. It's kind of like Dollywood. Dollywood's way better in my opinion, but Branson has a lot of different activity and it's kind of a draw for just people in the area, Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, even Kansas. And they do have some musical festivals and singers and things like that. Obviously singers. But you saw the Duggars going on their show. They went to Branson all the time, and I think the Bates, which is the other family with a ton of kids, they went there as well. So it was a huge draw for them. 2-hour drive. Oh, they have got like roller coasters and things, so that's pretty fun. Until you get old and your stomach can't handle roller coasters. She said, I decided that since it was going to be cold and I'd be on the rides, it would be more comfortable. It wasn't the day for dresses. Yeah, that's a good point. I picked out a pair of leggings that I sometimes wore under a skirt and found a long t-shirt that covered my butt and a coat that covered the t-shirt. I decided that this was the day that I would first wear pants, but now that I had them on, I just felt wrong. Even without the guilt and fear, I felt like nothing was going to look good on my post-pregnancy breastfeeding body. She asked Derek, what do you think? He said, it's fine. He wasn't really paying attention. And then she said, no, I'm wearing pants, Derek. And he paused and looked at her. He said, you look great and it's practical too. You'll be fine. Yeah, so that's the other thing. Like a lot of these girls and women are forced to wear dresses and skirts in cold weather, and some of them will wear jeans. Anna Duggar was asked about that prior to her husband's arrest. And she said that she would never make her daughters wear jeans in the winter, that they could wear pants. Some of them wear thick leggings, but it's not enough when it's windy and everything. And then they showed up at Silver Dollar City in Branson, and her family was there. Then she said she was approached by someone who asked her for a picture, and she said she hoped it wouldn't get tagged on Facebook. She said, I knew I couldn't hide from her. She said she knew she couldn't hide from her family, so sooner or later they'd run into them repeatedly. But she decided to try and steer her husband's family, the Dillards, in the opposite direction. She said she came in within 20 feet of her parents while they were in line for different rides. They said hi, but there's a low hedge that separated us and covered her legs, and Jill was grateful for that. She goes, of all the days I had decided to wear pants for the first time, I happened to have picked that one. I was so frustrated and wished the whole thing hadn't been such a big deal for me. Oh, that sucks. So the person who took the picture of her, took the picture with her, posted on Facebook, they tagged her, various sites picked it up, and one triggered one of the Google alerts that Pops had set up to monitor anything and everything posted about the family. Oh my goodness. Yes, he had Google alerts. Like, that is so creepy, so stalkerish, so controlling of your grown children. A few days later, she gets to her parents' house. Her mom was not there, and neither was her husband, and her dad said, Jill, can I talk to you upstairs? Followed her dad up to her parents' bedroom, the scene where almost all the serious conversations take place. Her dad looked at her and said, were you wearing pants the other day? She's a grown woman. Okay, I need to go get my dogs out of the backyard. They're crying. Hang on. Alright, my battery is dying. Of course, I didn't recharge this camera after decorating my Christmas tree. Hello, Sugar Booger. Ugh. Dog's gonna join us. Alright. So her dad asked her if she was wearing pants. She said, well, not exactly. They were leggings. And she said her stomach felt like it was about to explode. Yeah, I mean, that's so sad. Ow. Because she's an adult and her dad's trying to shame her and everything. She said, I was 26, but Pops was looking at me like I was 12 again. Her dad stood up and he started pacing. You know, Ginger called and talked to us about her decision before she started wearing pants. The word stung. Even though Ginger had told me that they'd given her a hard time too, I felt like he was finding me guilty of a double sin. Not just wearing pants, but failing to meet the standards Ginger had set when she told them. Ginger took the time to go through the Bible and explain to us how she was feeling about it. You know, Mom's got this book somewhere that talks about clothing and modesty and what it does to men when they see women wearing pants and stuff. That is so not true. When I've worn skirts, like pencil skirts, modest looking pencil skirts at work, please. Men prefer women in pants, or when men get turned on by women in pants. I mean, that's not untrue, but it's men get very much turned on by a woman in a dress. In fact, a lot of them would prefer a woman in a dress. She said, great, thank you, Pops. Way to shut it down. She took the book knowing that if she decided to read it, it likely wouldn't change anything. I cried when I got home. I felt embarrassed, humiliated, and even though nobody else had been in the room with us, yeah, that's just terrible. I was reading these comments by a woman who said she used to believe, or she was raised to believe, that people wearing pants meant that they weren't Christians and that they were going to hell, which is terrible. And she said, I used to look at girls wearing pants and think, oh, she's not saved, which is just so terrible. I mean, these are obviously fundamentalist, legalistic Christians that believe this. And of course, you know, many other groups do as well, you know, Muslims and everything like that. She said, all my life I'd been trying to show respect to Pops, but when was he going to show the same to me? Very good point. She said, some people thought I was trying to prove something to my parents. Some people thought I was deliberately rebelling. The truth is that I thought pants looked good and were comfortable to wear. She said she felt the same way about nose piercings too. Those don't seem too comfortable, but she said they were considered an ungodly distraction, but I thought they were cute. She said there was a worship leader at her church who had hers done, and I thought it looked good on her. She said, after escaping from Pop's room, I woke up one morning and just knew that I was going to be the day that I made my first ever visit to a tattoo parlor to get my nose ring. So tattoo parlors, if you don't know already, are a lot more sterile and hygienic to get any piercings at than going to like a jewelry store or Claire's. Those places are they're not as sterile. As an adult, I've gotten all my piercings at a tattoo parlor. She said, taking a lesson from Ginger, I called Pops and Mom first. Pop's phone went to voicemail, which was a relief, and I kept my message as brief and courteous as possible. Mom picked up but aside from thanking me for letting her know, she didn't have much to say. She was 26. I mean, I'm not shocked. Piercing itself was uneventful. The voicemail that was waiting for me from Pops when I got out, that was another thing altogether. He pleaded with me not to do it. He told me I was making a huge mistake He begged me to think about how it was going to affect my little sisters. Yeah, guilt trip. He said I was ruining my life. Oh my gosh, it's temporary. It's a temporary piercing. Mom said, I'm so glad you did not answer his call. Her voice as loving and kind as ever. He wasn't in a good state of mind. From that point on, my relationship with Pops was nearly all hornets and garter snakes. It seemed to me that he was realizing that he was losing control of me. Yeah, he's a control freak. He texts verses reminding me to honor thy mother and father in every conversation we had, just heaped more guilt on me, leaving fear gripping my throat even tighter. Often he would text me and apologize, which is a sign of abuse, where they'll apologize and then just do the same thing. His apologies felt insincere and valid. The messages were often followed up by more words condemning our actions and calling us out. He would send a barbed message, either directly from him or from one of my siblings, and it got to the point where I didn't want to talk to him anymore. So, anyway, I think we'll conclude there. Yeah, he's definitely being a control freak and still is a control freak. So, thanks for watching.